All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So in this one, I wanted to do my record prediction, by early record prediction right now for the 2025 New York Jets. Obviously, a lot of changing things, new head coach, new general manager, new systems, a lot of new things happening. I cannot wait. I'm loving the mentality so far with this Jets team. I mean, it was an utter mess last year, an utter mess. Just distractions all over the place, awful coaching, finger pointing left and right, leak stories. It was just hype, talking about how good we are, constantly talking the talk, never walking the walk. A mess, complete mess. This season so far, I'm really loving what we're seeing so far with Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn at the helm. So let's take a look at the schedule. I'm looking at it right here. Let's go through. And of course, this is, mid-May here. So I'm probably going to do a follow-up, maybe in a couple months or something like that, like a new record prediction, just because injuries happen. We also have a crop full of really, really talented free agents. Does someone maybe get traded? And not necessarily to the Jets or away from the Jets, but more so, maybe there's a big domino style of move that impacts a team that the Jets are going to be playing. So it's really an ever-changing process until the season starts off. But let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it. Early record prediction, Pittsburgh Steelers at home week 1. I'm going to go with a win. And I know on paper the Pittsburgh Steelers are the better team. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the playoff team. The Pittsburgh Steelers have the ingrained culture, the stern Mike Tomlin, right, running the ship. We know what we're going to get from Mike Tomlin. But I think right now when we're taking a look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, there's a lot of question marks, right? Quarterback is obviously kind of the elephant in the room. Who's going to be playing quarterback? Is it going to be Aaron Rodgers? Is it going to be Mason Rudolph? Will Howard, could he potentially shock some people? Either way, I'm just not feeling great about the quarterback position right now for the Pittsburgh Steelers. When I'm thinking about that offense last year, it was, in my opinion, the weak spot or the Achilles heel compared to the defense. The defense is legit. The defense is top notch. Has some of my favorite players in football: Highsmith, Minka Fitzpatrick. I mean, man, Wilson at the linebacker position, right? Derek Harmon, right? Newcomer on the defensive line. This to me is going to be a low scoring game. I love the Steelers defense. I just have too many questions about the offense, right? Again, with quarterback, I mean, you lose George Pickens. That's 900 receiving yards that they have to replace. Yes, of course, they did add DK Metcalf, but, it's one for one. You lose Pickens, but you add Metcalf. It would be a different story if they still had Pickens and added Metcalf. Not the case. Najee Harris, I know he's not a top 5 back in football, but that's a 1,000-yard rusher that the Steelers have to replace on offense. And also, I think, whether we're talking about the New York Jets, whether we're talking about the New Orleans Saints, New England Patriots, right? Whenever you have a new coaching staff come in, these teams with the fresh faces have a bit of an edge in that week 1 matchup, right? Because you have no tape. Yeah, of course, you can take a look at what happened in Detroit, play calling tendencies, things like that. But you don't know how this guy's going to coach. You don't know exactly what you're going to be getting. It's kind of like facing a pitcher in his first game at the majors, right? There's a chance that this young guy, no one has really had any sort of at-bats against him. There's a chance that he could really go out there and have a dominant day. Also, another thing that we have to factor in, Justin Fields is coming in from Pittsburgh. Now, of course, you can argue, okay, well, Aaron Rodgers is coming in from New York potentially if he starts with the Steelers, but it's a different case, right? It's a different, really story altogether, right? Justin Fields is coming in from Mike Tomlin and learning Arthur Smith's system. What is Arthur Smith known for? Running the football. The offense that we saw back in Atlanta and the offense that we saw with the Pittsburgh Steelers, even going back to Tennessee, you see a ton of the same stuff. I think that's going to give the edge to Justin Fields and this New York Jets team, as opposed to, with or without Rodgers. He hasn't worked with Aaron Glenn. He hasn't worked with Steve Wilkes on the defense side of the football. He hasn't worked with Tanner Engstrom. Not to mention, it's the home opener. So I feel like right now, even though this is, the upset pick, could be looked at as like a homery pick coming right out of the gate here. I have the Jets in a small victory, not a lot of points. I think it's probably going to be a defensive-led battle by both teams. Not a crazy shootout. I haven't looked at the over-under, but I got to imagine it's under 40. Just my guess here. But anyway, Jets start off the season 1-0. Next up, sticking at home here against the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to say it's a loss. I hate to say this, right? But when I look at the Buffalo Bills, they are stacked. They are stacked. I mean, really, what's the Bills' biggest weakness? They have a great offensive line. They have a great quarterback. They have a multitude of wide receivers who can make an impact. A running game, assuming James Cook is going to be there. They have multiple tight ends. Then you look at the defensive side of the football, right? Defensive line, run stuffers and pass rushers, athletic linebackers, corners, safeties. You have Sean McDermott running the show, who's he throws just so many different things at the quarterback. You just see so many multiple looks from this Bills defense, man. It's just such a hard team to coach against. It's such a hard team to play against. They don't beat themselves. Last season was like the year that everyone thought that the Bills were going to miss the playoffs because they took a step back. They lost Trey White. They lost Jordan Poyer. They lost Micah Hyde. They lost Stephon Diggs. They lost Leonard Floyd. Turns out the Bills were right in literally every single one of those moves. Maybe outside of Leonard Floyd. But they make it all the way to the AFC Championship game. Now they add guys in like Bosa, like Josh Palmer, like Max Harrison. Right now, I think it's just going to be a little overwhelming this early in the season for the Jets. So 1-1 so far. Next up, week 3, going to Tampa. Aaron Glenn's first road game of the year. I'm going to say it's another loss. When I think about the Bucs, by the way, I live over here in Tampa. It's going to be hot. It's going to be extremely hot, right, at this section of the season in September. But, the Buccaneers are just absolutely loaded, right, on offense. We all know what we're going to get from Baker Mayfield. He's going to put the football in play. Wide receivers, Igbokwe coming in to pair with Godwin and Mike Evans. Bucky Irving with a great season last year. I'm going to assume he improves upon that. And then, of course, right, where it all stems from, the Bucs offensive line. Absolutely fantastic. It's a top 5 offensive line. In my opinion, it is great. And then I think this is really going to be the deciding factor here. Todd Bowles and a veteran defensive play caller, someone who does a really good job with confusing the quarterback in the passing game, right? Showing one thing, doing another, sending exotic blitzing a lot. I think the veteran defensive play caller and Todd Bowles with a veteran defense is just probably more favorable than the first-time offensive coordinator, Tanner Engstrand. Next up, week 4, back-to-back Florida games here. Jets at Dolphins, Monday Night Football, the first primetime game for Aaron Glenn and this New York Jets team. I think right now, just kind of early outlook, the Jets will probably split with the Dolphins. The Dolphins have definitely had the Jets' number in these last couple of seasons, Mike McDaniel versus Robert Saleh. And I think it's really important to kind of take a look at, maybe Aaron Glenn's defenses with the Detroit Lions playing against the Mike McDaniel offense, right? That West Coast, high-flying, fast-paced offense. We can take actually a look back at those 49ers teams. Now, the 49ers have a lot more talent, or had a lot more talent than these Dolphins, than this projecting into 2025, this upcoming Dolphins team. But the Niners have been able to get in the end zone just consistently against this Aaron Glenn defense. I believe over the last 4 matchups, they've put up over 30 points. Granted, it's a different team. It's a different coach, different roster completely. I get that. But against these fast-paced offenses, offenses that run a lot of things over the middle of the field, offenses that really prioritize getting the football out of the quarterback's hands, outside zone, it just seems like this defense struggles or has struggled against that style. So again, early in the season, we know Miami likes to come out of the gate swinging. It's almost like Mike McDaniel kind of concocts all these new plays and new ideas in the offseason and just unleashes them in the first half of the year. But then after that kind of midway point, Miami just falls off a cliff for some reason. I don't know if it's because of the weather or what, but or defenses really start picking up on what Miami's excelling at, trying to shut that down, of course, along with injuries that the Dolphins have sustained. But I think early in the season in Miami, primetime game, I'm going to go Dolphins here. Jets fall to 1-3. Week 5, Dallas is coming to town. I want to say this is going to be a win, but I'm just not going to. Again, objectively speaking, just trying to not be biased here. I think Dallas is the better football team right now. You take a look at some of the you look at some of the Cowboys moves this offseason, man. I feel like Dallas has hit an absolute home run with the acquisition of George Pickens. That is going to be huge for Dak Prescott. It's going to be huge for CeeDee Lamb to take some of the pressure off of him in the passing game. I think it's going to open some stuff up in the running game and also for the tight end position. Brian Schottenheimer, like this new toy to kind of play with on the outside. Big boundary, box out style of wide receiver, just an absolute playmaker. And then you look at the draft, right? Tyler Booker, love that pick. Donovan Ezaraku in the second round, love that pick. Just a really highly polished pass rusher who can, attack the quarterback, taking pressure off of Micah Parsons. You got Ravel coming in from East Carolina. I think Dallas, really the X factor with Dallas is Schottenheimer. Now, I'm kind of under them. I know Schottenheimer is not the Mike Vrabel type of hire. He wasn't the Ben Johnson, but coach's son, been around the game for a long, long time, has called plays before, has been in this Dallas locker room. I do feel like Dallas has kind of needed, they need like this kick in the butt, if you will. They need like a new energy. Does Schottenheimer provide that? Does he give them that new voice? Maybe that new identity? Maybe. I think Dallas is being slept on right now. Unfortunately, I have another loss for the Jets here. Next up, Jets Broncos over in London, 9:30. This is technically speaking a Jets home game. When we take a look at the schedule, I hate to keep giving the Jets L's here, but Denver, playoff team last season, they look like they're rolling, right? Vance Joseph is actually my favorite defensive play caller. God, just the stuff that you see on that Broncos defense it's just so hard. Like if you put yourself in the quarterback shoes, the opposing quarterback shoes, just trying to, process and understand what Vance is doing to you throughout the course of the game is just so damn difficult. The stuff that he throws at opposing quarterbacks is crazy. And now this team is just, they really came alive last season. Benito all over the place attacking the quarterback. I love the Broncos defense. Now you add Jahdae Barron into the mix. And then on offense, of course, Bo Nix, Sean Payton. We kind of know what we're going to get from them, but overseas game, right? Aaron Glenn, first-time head coach. How does he handle that week of preparation, right? How does he handle the practice? How does he handle when to decide to fly, across the Atlantic to get to London? How is the week of preparation handled by this Jets organization? I know with Sean Payton, the veteran coach, they're probably going to have a more experienced approach with this style of thing. So I think right now, I think Denver's the better team. I'm going to go, I'm going to go Denver again. So the Jets, through 6 weeks of the NFL season, have one win, in this scenario here. But in week 7, they're coming back home. They're playing the Carolina Panthers. So no bye week after London. This has got to be a win. This, to me, has got to be a win for the New York Jets. This has got to be a tone-setting style of game, right, where the Jets end a losing streak. You're coming back home, playing in MetLife Stadium against a team that you have more talent against. Now, I liked what Carolina did this offseason. I'm curious to see how Bryce Young looks going into the year 2 Canales style of offense here. I think we saw a lot of growth from Bryce Young at the end of last year with not a lot of help around him, by the way. But I feel like still, with that said, the Jets should be able to handle business here and pick up a W midway through October. Jets at Bengals. Now, I'm going to go with the Bengals here, but I'm assuming that Shamar Stewart's on the field and Trey Hendrickson is on the field and there's no issues. If the Bengals can't get after the passer, I think this game could actually be an upset, right? I know on the surface it's crazy. It's like Joe Burrow, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, all these, offensive weapons. It's in Cincinnati. Midway through the season, this is really, where Cincy starts to look alive and starts putting together wins. But I feel like if the Bengals' defensive front cannot stop the run and they cannot get off the field, the Jets are going to run the ball with Justin Fields, the mobile quarterback, one of the best running quarterbacks in football. This could be one of those games where the Jets circle and say, hey, you know what? We got to, of course it's easy to say, control the ball, control the clock, control the flow of the game. But again, if the Bengals cannot stop the run, if the Jets are just gashing Cincy on the, on the ground, If Cincinnati fails to get after the quarterback, fails to hawk down Justin Fields in the running game, I think this could actually be a lot closer than on the surface. But, again, just objectively speaking, Cincinnati right now is the better football team. So for the sake of it, for the sake of just being fair, I'll go Cincy here. But this is just a game that I want to highlight. I think the Jets actually have a chance, even though right now it's looking like no way. Bye week 9, week 10, Jets at home against the Cleveland Browns. This has got to be a win. This is actually going to be a huge, huge test for Olu Fashanu, right? Going up against Myles Garrett. I think, this Browns team, it should be a lot better, right? With Mason Graham in the fold. They're going to have a brand new quarterback. Who knows who the heck it's going to be against the Jets at this point in the season. Maybe Shedeur Sanders, Kenny Pickett, Dylan Gabriel, who knows? Flacco maybe. But this draft class was one of my favorites of the offseason. Judkins coming in round 2. I think Sampson was a really nice find where they were able to scoop him up. Of course, Shedeur in round 5 here. But I think the Browns should be a better football team, but still maybe a 6-win squad. The Jets at home here, they got to snag a win. So week 11, Thursday night football, New England Patriots in Foxborough. God, I hate to say this, man, but I'm gonna go with the Patriots here. I'm actually really looking forward to the Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel games. Both coaches, in my opinion, are pretty similar. Not so much from like a schematic standpoint, but both guys are defensive minded. Both guys are old school. Both guys have learned under some really, really good coaches. Both guys are former great players. I think both Vrabel and Glenn kind of preach the same thing: physicality, toughness, accountability, very similar ideas. And I think a lot of Jets fans were cool with Aaron Glenn. They were cool with Mike Vrabel. I think there are a lot of similarities that you can pull from both coaches. With that said, I think this is going to be another low-scoring game. My fear in this one, New England the week prior plays in Tampa, so they're coming back home on the short week. Is this a game where maybe New England really tries to focus on the ground game, and Travion Henderson, who is brand new back as of this point, Ramondre Stevenson is still on the roster. I feel like that's going to be a solid 1-2 punch for New England's offense. This could be the game, again, short week, at home, night game, early mid-November. This could be the game where the Patriots just keep the ball on the ground, right? Play good defense, keep the ball on the ground. And the Jets right now, we don't have that proven run stuffer. Maybe at this point in the season, the run defense will speak for itself. But at this point in May, trying to project outwards, I got New England here on a short week. Next up at Baltimore, I'm going to keep this one short. I'm going to say it's a loss, right? I think playing in Baltimore is one of the toughest places to play. Then you have to outcoach Harbaugh. Then you have to outplay Lamar Jackson. Then you have to score points on that Ravens defense that flies around. That, by the way, added Malachi Starks to this defense in the first round. Very, very difficult. Very, very, very difficult team. Stopping Derrick Henry, getting into the backfield. Loss. Next up, week 13 against the Atlanta Falcons. I think right now a lot of people would probably pick the Falcons here, but I'm going to go with the Jets. Jets in an upset win late November here. Back-to-back road games the weeks prior. Now you're coming back home to play a Falcons team. I like this Falcons squad, I do, but I feel like the Jets specifically match up pretty well when we're just talking about individuals, right? Like tackle versus edge, things like that. I like the Jets' chances in this one in an upset victory. But I would not be surprised to see Michael Penix take a big step forward this upcoming season. Following week, Sunday, December 7th, at home against the Dolphins. Like I said before, I had the Jets and Dolphins kind of splitting this season one way or another, so Jets win here. I like that layout better because, again, early in the season, we know what the Dolphins do. They're at home. It's a short week. We can take a look at how Aaron Glenn's defense has fared against that West Coast system. Yes, of course, you can make a lot of those same arguments here, right? It's the same exact team, but Aaron Glenn would have tape on, what he coached against prior. He would know what went wrong, right? He would have all these weeks of preparation, all those weeks under his belt of coaching experience, clock management, game planning, how practices are going, everything like that. There's just a lot of knowledge learned from week 4 through week 14. That's over, overall 9 games, but 10 total weeks. And as we all know, Miami's track record, they fall apart in December. So until they prove everyone wrong, I'm going to keep on, picking L's for the Dolphins in this, section of the season. Next, at Jacksonville. This could be a sneaky game, but I actually have the Jets coming out victorious here. I think Jacksonville, they still lack some talent, specifically at corner, excluding Travis Hunter. I just feel like the Jets are the better team. It's a warm weather game for New York. Again, back-to-back games up in MetLife, up in Jersey. Now you're coming down south to Florida to take on Jacksonville. This could be a big game for Jacksonville as far as picking up an AFC win at this point in the season, because I feel like the South is wide open. But yeah, Jets win for me. I think the Jets are a better football team. Week 16, Jets at Saints. I'm going to say Jets here. I have my questions about New Orleans. I do, right? Quarterback aside, but of course, brand new coaching staff. It feels very odd. It's a team that I feel like at certain positions, they are great. And then at certain positions, there are major, major problems. Right now, from the people that I've talked to, a lot of people are expecting the Saints team to have a top 3 pick. I know it's in New Orleans. I love the Saints fans. It's such a tough place to play in the Superdome, but right now I'm going Jets. And then Sunday, December 28th. Again, I felt like the Jets-Patriots series this year, I think it's really going to be close. I had the Patriots winning the first one, Jets losing. Now I got the Jets coming back here in MetLife Stadium and getting the win against New England. And then last but not least, Week 18 in Buffalo. I've just keeping it simple here. I think if the Bills play their starters, the Bills will have it. But if there is a scenario where the Bills rest their guys, maybe their seeding in the playoffs is locked in, and we see exactly what we saw last year, which is like Joe Milton and the Patriots beating Buffalo. I could see maybe something similar. So I think right now, again, it's early. I'm gonna go with 7-10. I think 7-10 is fair. I think what's the Vegas over under 5.5 or 6 or something like that. So I don't think the Jets are going to be a playoff team this year. I don't think the Jets are going to win the AFC East, but really year one, it's about laying the groundwork. It's about creating the culture. It's about, really establishing an identity, creating that vision, following through, following the plan, and, really creating an environment where players want to come play for the Jets. I think that's so important, but really just establishing who the heck we are. For the last, I don't even know how many years, 4 years under Saleh / Ulbrich, 2 years under Gase, the end of the Todd Bowles era. What were the Jets? We just didn't have an identity. Other teams looked at their schedule like, yes, we're playing the Jets this week. That's got to change, man. That's got to change. It changed for the Lions. Will it change for the Jets? So anyway, thanks so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts, and as always, go Jets.